Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the SQL Server Reporting Services and its a relationship with the master data services. So far we have seen how we can utilize master data services to do the standardization. Now one of the challenge is, if you remember last time, we have already identified there are some records where the country is not standardized in the incoming data. So let me just quickly rerun to show you if I can get these records back. So you can see in here, uh, sorry, I need to reverse the condition. Yeah, and let me just stop it because I just want to re-execute. So I can see all these records. They are appearing as incorrect, right? Because they are not standardized against our country mapping that has been part of the country master data list, which we have already loaded into our MDS entity, right? So now the second thing, obviously, this we have already identified. Now we are not going to extract it and send it to the business user manually. We need to define a way where we can build something that can help us to send the or share the list with the business automatically. And every time we get the new copy, we run the data, it automatically update the number of errors in the record set, right? So that's the whole concept which we are trying to build, right? So if you want to share something with the business, the best way to build the report that we can share with the business, and we can set up the full access on the report, right? So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can build the reports that can show the data to the business based on the findings, or based on the requirements that we generally get from the business or the other team. So let's coming back to the reporting service. If you remember the interface, so you are going to see that we have a very nice reporting services interface. Microsoft spent a lot of effort to improve it. If you remember 2012 or 2008 interface, that's pretty, I would say, simple compared to the latest one, because that's they are I think they are moving more towards the Power BI interface, and that's the whole concept. But like I mentioned, Power BI is a pure analytical tool that you can use to build the dashboard, but in here you're gonna build the detail, or I would say operational reports as well. And one of the example, we're gonna see it in this query. So what we can do in order to work with the SSRS, we have already seen how we can install and configure the reports. Now we are going to see how we can work with the report development. So all you need to, if you have your interface up and running, there's a download button. What it's going to do, it's going to actually download the report builder on your machine, and that will help you to build your reports. It's a red tool. It really help you to build reports quickly. So I'm just going to show you, in this video, how we can configure the report builder. So let's hit the report builder. It's going to take us towards the Microsoft page. So we need to download the report builder in the English language. Let me just hit download. It's going to start downloading in a moment. Yeah, I can see the download has been finished. Let me just come to my download folder, and I can see the download report builder is there, and the MSI. Let me just install it. So yeah, pretty simple installation, nothing fancy. You can change the path. The only thing, if you want, you can change the path if you don't want to install on your C drive. One thing, obviously, it's asking for the default target server URL. So what I'm going to do, I think I've already opened the reporting service. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give it the target server, which is this one, right? So let's see if I can open it up, and let me copy it up and paste it in here. right? Because you can see how I know that it is asking for this because we have two URL, because it's the one it needs is ending up with the slash report server. So that's the one which I needed. So I just need to paste it inside and click next. Yeah, happy to install. And it will install the report builder on my machine. Perfect. So now we have the report builder. Let me just bring it so you can see the report builder icon is now appearing. Let me bring it on my start, and then I'm going to open it up. So now report builder is opening, and it will allow me to develop the report. And I'm just going to show you how we can the data that we are seeing from the the investigation, how we can share. So you can see as soon as we open, it has some wizard that you can use to build if you want to use the wizard. I'm going to just use the new report, but I'm going to use the blank report because I just want to show you how we can build a very simple, powerful report using the blank report template. By the way, you can take out these default fields in here if you don't need the footer. Reporting service is very powerful tool if you know how to use it, because they will help you to build powerful operational report, and up to some extent the analytical report as well. And it doesn't have any limitation like the Power BI. The number of rows can go into even millions, but obviously you don't want to, excuse me, publish millions of records on your report. So let me just take this one out, and let me quickly give you an idea about what the fields are and how to use it. So you can see we have built-in fields, and these fields are part of the default values that we generally put on our reports. And you can see it has the execution time, language, overall page number, report folder, total pages, user ID, all that information which is more like the metadata related to your report that you can publish on your report, right? And then obviously the parameters are very important in the reporting. It's more like the filter that you normally use to filter the data. Based on the parameter, the report builder engine send the query back to the SQL engine, and it will extract the result based on those parameters, so which are more like the filters, right? And then images folder contain the images. If we want to add the images into our report, that folder will contain those images. And like I mentioned, we still have another interface that provide you more capabilities compared to this interface, because that is more like a rapid application development tool, RAD tool, which really help you to build reports very quickly. And then we have the data sources. Data sources is more like your connection. It will define the connection where you're gonna get the data. And it can be SQL database, it can be Azure database, it can be any data source that you're gonna connect to extract the data. And obviously, once we set up that connection, we need to put the query which return us some data that is called the data set, right? So these are all the logical blocks of your report builder interface, right? So now let's come in and let me just start from the data source. Let me just right click and add, click on the add data source. And I'm just going to call it, what's my database name? So in here, I'm just going to call it AG underscore governance underscore dev. Oops. A mistake. Just to call it PS, right? So that will help me to remember that, okay, my data source is going to be my database, which is AG governance underscore dev. All right. So it's going to be shared connection or report or user connection embedded on my model. Because I haven't actually show you how to publish the report. So let's say at the moment, I don't know how to use the shared connection. Let's stick with the connection which is embedded or private to my report. So just at the moment, you remember that this particular connection is going to be embedded in the report, and it can't be shared with other reports, right? But it will allow us to use the shared connection. So if we already have a connection with our database, we don't need to create that connection again and again with all the reports. We can use the shared connection, which has already been centrally established. How are we going to do it? That's a separate discussion. All right, so now obviously I need to build my connection. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to say, yeah, on, how about like if I, instead of use dot, I'm going to use, and I'm going to use the Windows authentication. By the way, in here you can set up the generic connection, and you can even use the reporting services account to authenticate your connection against your data source. If your reporting service account has the access, set it up on these databases, it is able to access the data. But obviously, if we are using the SQL authentication, we're gonna set up the account which has the access to the required databases. Otherwise, you're going to face the error. But at the moment, let's see how I'm going to do it. So let's see. It's always better to use Windows authentication with your sources, because that's going to be integrated with your Active Directory, and it's more robust than using this username and password, which is going to be trouble all the time, because your username and password has to be managed at the database level instead of centralized Active Directory level. So at this stage, I'm just going to use the Windows authentication, and let me see if I just if I'm able to open my database list. So yeah, I can see in here, yeah, it's AG governance dev database, which I'm working on. I need to connect to this data because I need to get the information from this database. Let me hit test connection. Yeah, I'm all good. Let me just hit OK. Now my data connection has been set it up correctly, and as soon as I hit the test connection, it is a connection created successfully. Let me just click OK. Yeah, use single transaction when processing the query. If we just want to make sure we only issue one transaction to query the data, then we can check this. But I'm just going to leave it as it is, and let me just hit OK. Now my data source has been established, but remember, it just set it up the connection to the backend database. It didn't extract any data because I didn't mention what I'm going to extract it, right? So now I'm just going to right click on the data set, and I'm going to hit the data set to create a new data set. And this data set is going to be the name or the wrapper of the information which I'm trying to extract from my database to the query or store procedure, and even we can put a function in here that's going to return me some information back from my database, right? So I'm just going to call it BS incorrect country information, right? Because that will help me to see what are the records which has the incorrect country information, which is not mapping correctly against our standardized list, right? Now you can see it's going asking you use a shared data set or use a data set embedded in my report. Same concept. If we already have the data set that we are using, we can reuse it in here. That's the shared data set, but because it's my first time I'm creating the data set, so I'm going to use the embedded data set in my report, and you can see it's asking what's your data source. It means before even getting to the data, it needs to bridge the connection. So that's where it's asking the connection. I'm going to use use the data source that I have just set it up in this exercise. And now you can see we have text. We can even query get the table, or we can use the store procedure, right? So in here, because I'm just using the query, which is not the best practice. Remember that, because in the later video I'm going to show you what's the best practice to put the backend query in your report, and what's the best way to do it right now, because we are just using this query. And what I can do. Okay, so what I can do now, let me just format the query, because instead of or L dot star, no, I think that's fine. I can use the star, but like I don't recommend to use star. Always try to give a proper column, because that's more efficient, and because it will also help us not to use the unnecessary column. So now what I'm gonna do, let's see. How about if I just bring these to invoice, stock code, quantity, invoice date. Let's get these first. I'm just changing the query in here. You're gonna see, and in order to standardize it, I'm just putting the comma before instead of after. I'm also getting the invoice date. Yeah, the interface, it doesn't look very user friendly, but that's fine. I also need this, as long as it is helping me to put the query properly. Yeah, all good. So even we have the query designer, and you're gonna see I can see my query that I have copied from the SSMS. And by the way, you can test your query in here. So now if I just run this query, I'm gonna see exactly the same result that I've seen in my SSMS, right? So that's another place where you can run your query to before you even use it to validate, right? So you can see it is returning me the same result that I'm seeing in the SSMS. All right, let me just hit OK. So based on the column that I have selected in the outer query, now it's displaying all the fields that I'm able to display on my report. Let me just quickly go to the option, collation, case sensitive. These are all the cosmetic settings which I don't need. Obviously, if we are working with the multilingual system, that's where all these things come handy. So we can, set it up. By the way, an interesting thing, it's asking me to do the subtotals, which I haven't actually touched the grouping, so I'm not going to discuss the subtotal. Another thing, even we still have the opportunity beside the parameters, we can still go and we can, define we can define the filter into my report. So there are two level of filter. One is through the parameter, and then it's on the data set level. If we really want to, hide some data based on some particular criteria, depending upon the user or, on other business requirement, we can still do it in here, right? And then obviously the parameters and query parameters we can define. At this stage, I'm not going to define any parameter. That's the next step in the next video. So let me just hit OK. And now my data set is coming. The only thing now which is remaining to show this data on my report. So you can see we have different sort of objects that can be used to display your information. And guess what? It's pretty simple that we are going to use the table on this report. By default, it's the one header and one row template. And you're gonna see I'm just going to drag and drop. That's what I'm saying. It's a drag tool. You can see how quickly you can. Let me insert the column on the right, again on the right. All right, so we have the description, stock code is there, quantity, and we have the invoice date. We have the unit price. And I think we just need customer ID. Oops. Let me just delete this column. And let me increase the report size. I'm just going to do it on the right. I'm going to do on the right. Because I need customer ID. I'm going to get the country. And last but not the least, country code I'm not going to show, because obviously it's an error report, which doesn't require that the 3 letter, because that's going to be none. Now, one thing I just want to place on the top, let me see if I can find it out. Let's put the text box, and I'm going to call it incorrect country names, right, on customer invoices, right? So that's going to be my heading. Let me just increase it, because once I send it to the business know what I'm referring to, because that will help them to investigate. So you can see I'm just doing some formatting. It's going to be, so let me just format that as well. I'm just going to increase the font size, going to be bold, and you can see somewhere I need to adjust the width. Same in here. Let's see if I can drag stock code. Description generally has bigger width compared to other. So you can see I can adjust the report length, sorry, report width, and I think the rest is all good. How about if just change the background color to be more professional? Yeah, it's a bit darker. So let me just go and do a light one. All right, so now you can see one more thing which I forgot, because it's a tabular report, so I just need to make sure that the rows and columns are in the lines are visible, so they can separate the cells. So our report is ready. Let me just save it, and as soon as I save, so if you remember when I install, it asked me the report server URL. That's one of the reason. Now you can see in know where I need to. As soon as I save, it is asking where you want to save your report. So you can see I'm now on my report server. So what I'll do, I'll just come in here and I create a folder. So let me just create a folder, and I'm going to call it, let's say, error reports, right? Because these reports are going to show the error back to the business, right? Now we can see we are now, excuse me, it is creating we are now in the error report. And now if I come back in here, and now error report folder is appearing, and I'm just going to call it PT invalid country information, right? Because that's what we are trying to share with the business. Now let me just hit save, and our report is ready to share. Let me just reduce the length or height of my report, because that's all. So now the whole report is ready. Let's go, and we just need to save it. And now if I come in here and I'll just refresh it, you're gonna see my report will appear in here. And it's a web report. We can share it with the business without any issue. Yeah, our report is appearing in here. We can even give it a proper name in here. Over there, we save it the RPT, but if you want, we can change the name in here, and you can see. And we can even publish to my Power BI, because I didn't have the Power BI subscription at the moment, so I can't. Otherwise, I'm going to show you how you can publish your it to directly to the Power BI. But anyway, let's see if I can run this, because that's the essence in here, that if we are able to run our report. So we are running the report, so looks good. It is loading, because behind the scene is running the query. That's the query that we have. Excellent. So you can see we have the data which is now appearing into my my report. The only thing which I am unable to see is the row number, which is obviously is going to be the auto increment number that will help me to see how many records I'm seeing, right? So let's go and change it and come back in here, because you can see we can move on based on the navigation button on the top in the bar, and it will give us plenty of 337 pages of the report, right? So let's go and do one more thing. How about if I left, and in here I'm just going to show you, instead of getting the column, we can build the expression, and that's where the whole reporting development comes into the picture. And that's a very powerful area where you can define the expression. So what I'm going to do, because I need to generate the auto number, so let me see if I can find out how I can built-in fields, name. There was, if I remember, variable, not variables, miscellaneous in scope, row number. So roll number will allow me to give a unique number to each of the row, right? So let me see if I can. I don't think it will work like this, but let me see if that's the text one. I'm not sure. I'm just looking, is there any other function that I can use? I'm pretty sure it was the row number, but we'll see. Yeah, so that's fine. I'm just going to use row number, and in the one in it, I'm just going to provide the dataset name, which is obviously, if I look on the left hand side, it's going to be DS incorrect entry information, right? So let me just hit OK. And by the way, you can run the report from here as well. So there is a button. If you don't want to go to your portal, if want to just test it, you can run your report directly from your report builder interface. Awesome. So you can see we are getting the unique number, and now it's going to help me to see how many records we have. So let's just call it serial number, which is generally the case serial number, right? And save it, and let's go back and refresh the report. So if I go to the last page, you're gonna see, yeah, I'm getting 9,749 records. Let me quickly come in here and see 9,749 records. So congratulations, we have built our first professional report, which is using MDS records, which is our standard list. Now imagine the business is maintaining the master data list in their way. We have developed a report which going to actually help another team who is responsible for the data to validate the upcoming country information based on the master data list that business has defined for us, right? And we don't need to interfere at all, because we have already developed the report. We have already built the query that's going to actually compare it, whatever data is coming against the master data list, and it will automatically report or share the result back to the business. So that's how you can automate the process and share the information. Now as soon as business start fixing the data, the next day once we load the data, obviously the number of records are going to be reduced. So that's how we generally use the reporting services with our MDS to help or improve the data quality or data governance in our enterprises. I hope you like the video. Feel free to reach out if you have any question. More than happy to answer. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next bit advanced development of our second report, or even the enhancement of this one as well.